Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Joyful Homemaking. Welcome back, Ashley,
Welcome
because
back.
it's been a hot minute. Um, so excited to be chatting with you today. And we were just in our pre conversation before pushing record saying how excited we are to not only be here together, but also to be able to share kind of what has been happening in our lives and how God works in amazing ways, just to be an encouragement to anyone listening that there's so much to be learned and to be celebrated by hearing the stories of everyday women, especially ones who are passionate about homemaking and loving their husbands and children well. So we're excited for today. Lots of changes, lots of additions in our family. So let's though start though, Ashley, give us kind of like a, hey, here I've been doing this, and this is what life's been looking like since we've chatted last.
Oh man. Okay, so I'm trying to remember, when did we chat last? November?
I know it's kind of, yeah, I was like, it's hard to remember because we chat,
Right.
but like on the podcast, I think it's been a few months.
Okay, so we have probably gone through Christmas season, basketball season. Um, yeah, we've done, oh my, yeah. Okay, so many things. So, I mean, not, but the thing is, still not as many things as you, or as not as significant amount of things, like the significance of the things. Anyway, so yeah, well, I'll try to make mine fairly brief, but yeah, so we're still plugging away at school. I'm still teaching. Praise the Lord. They still keep having me back each week, so that's wonderful and a blessing, and has been a huge learning curve for myself, for my kids. So anyone, I guess, who hasn't listened or doesn't know what I'm talking about, I teach at a classical Christian school. It's a half-day model, so it's like partially learning at home with doing your work at home, and then being in school in like a brick and mortar building for little over like 4.5 hours a day or something. Not quite, I guess, for elementary, but anyway. So we are doing all things with the school, very busy with that. When we decided to commit to the school, it was like, okay, we're going to be all in, which I do feel as Christians, when we commit to an education style for our kids, it's like, okay, like we're all into this thing now. And so we say yes to the things. So like last night we were at the talent show. My son just got back from a choir trip up in Spokane last weekend. The week before that, we had been at the symphony with his class, which was so much fun. I had gone to, well, I'm primarily like a junior high teacher. I teach mostly 7th and 8th classes. And so I'd gone with the 7th and 8th to their music festival, which was wonderful. Music is a huge part of the school, which is such a blessing to see my kids just soar far beyond anything I ever have learned about music. And yeah, so, and then of course we went basketball season, 2 kids playing basketball. So it's been, yeah, we've been really just all in with the school, which is wonderful. And again, a blessing and a busy time. So that's what we have been up to. Yeah, I spend my days grading and lesson planning and helping my own kids with their homework, and yeah, trying to help out all of my students as best as we can. We had another wave of excuse me, illness hit the 7th grade this last week, so I've had a lot of kids in and out. We have a week next week of school, excuse me, spring break, and then a short week because leading up to Easter weekend, and that week after spring break is the last week of the quarter. So it's going to be a mad scramble to try to help everybody get caught up that has been sick, so we can get grades in. But you know, it'll happen or it won't. So yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. That's what's been going on with us. Yeah, I can't think of anything else super significant, not as much as your family. What has been going on with you guys?
You're so sweet. And you have a lot of significant things happening in your life because we've talked a lot about motherhood is in the repetition or the mundane or the busyness. We find ourselves having moments of dependence on the Lord through those things, growing as a family. So I'm excited to kind of expound a little bit more on your time right now. I promise I'll talk about mine, but it's so fun that Darren and I have been having a lot of conversations about work. I saw, or our friend, a mutual friend, sent me a reel on social media about, and now, of course, I should have wrote it down specifically, verbiage wise, but it was saying that the number one indicator for, I think it was they were interviewing or looked at data from Harvard College, and the one of the indicators for success or in the future, like in your workspace or in college, was if your family it had a dynamic of family chores. If you were assigned chores and work to do as a child. And I thought that is so fascinating because I definitely, as a mom, and I don't know if you have this too, feeling in like a busy schedule, where I'm like, oh, I struggled in the beginning to think, okay, I want them to do chores because I know it is good for them. We're a family team. It's not all on the mom. It's not all on the dad. Like we need to be like moving in a progression as a unit, right?
Mhm.
Like not individuals, but collectively. And so from the very beginning, I viewed chores as responsibilities of being part of this household. But then as our schedules get busier and as we add on more things, I have this like pull between I can't actually do it without the children, right? Like we
Mhm.
cannot fully function in all of the areas that we want to do unless we team together and all participate. And then this other pull of like, I do want them to enjoy free time and I do want them to continue playing the game that they're doing or
Mhm.
finishing the book that they have. And so it's kind of like I understand both sides. Like you know you can't function without it, but then there's this pull that's like, well, I still want them to be a kid, quote
Mhm.
unquote, right? Do you ever find that in your schedule? I know you guys are having actually a work day today, so that's very fitting.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And we yeah, we go through different phases, I think, and I kind of try to figure out like what's working, what is it teaching the kids? Like, is it just teaching them to like get their job done as fast as possible so they can go do what they want? But I do think it's really important that they learn, right? You're gonna, and I tell them this all the time, like, you live here too. Like, don't you want this to be cleaned well for your space and for the space of everybody else? And so we do talk about that a lot. And I think we do like a chore chart. Um, I mean, a chore chart. It's yeah, it has everybody's like we call them house jobs. Like it's your house job for the day, but it doesn't always get done because of their homework load. And so and the I think so sometimes the expectation sort of shifts around and it's like, okay, this person had to get the dishes done because the dishes all pile up if the dishes aren't done. This person had to get the garbage out because if you don't get the garbage out on time, like that's like a major emergency, when you have garbage stacking up. Um, but then there's other ones like, oh, they didn't clean the sinks in the bathroom upstairs, but they'll just save that for Saturday when they don't have homework type of a thing. So I think we're going to transition back to like, we all are getting home at the same time. No one has sports practice. So we're not home super late right now, although that's about to change again. But it's going to transition back to like, we're all working together. We do what we call report for duty. And even though I have a 15-year-old, and so that probably seems very childish to him, it actually works really well because it's like, I can just sort of see what all needs to be done, and they know they have to keep coming back to me until it's all cleaned up. And I feel like the heart behind Report for Duty, I like a lot better than the chore chart. But again, it's like you were saying, sometimes you have to just figure out what works. Um, like what works in the phase of life that you're in. And I think that the pull that you're talking about between I want them to be a kid, I want them to finish the game, I want them to keep exploring and playing outside, but they also need to learn responsibility. I think that's just a constant. Like I still have that in my 8-year-old and my 15-year-old. Like I still see that where I'm like, oh, he's curled up on the couch reading a book and enjoying himself. I want him to be able to do that, but the floor is gross and needs to be swept. So yeah, I don't know. That's just a hard balance to find. And I think it's just one of those things that you have to, in the moment, make the decision of like, no, he can get up, he can sweep for 5 minutes, and then he can go sit back down with his book. But I also have been realizing with the kids, and I keep telling them this too, I'm like, if you guys aren't immediately obedient though, then it doesn't get done. And so, because they forget, they're not trying to avoid it. They're just like, oh, can I finish this chapter? Like, nope, buddy, you got to put that bookmark in, put it down, come back to the game, come back to the book, just do your chore. So that's something I've been working on a lot too. Because yeah, otherwise the socks won't get picked up, the coat won't be hung up, so we've just been working on a lot of that. But I've been a mom for 15 and a half years. I still can't figure it out. So, I think it's one of those things that I want a system for, but it is always evolving. And as you can tell, this is something I think about a lot because I can't stop blabbering on about it. But anyway, I don't know. How are you? What's your current, do you have like a current like system for it? Or is it kind of like I'm saying, like ever evolving type of a thing?
Yeah, we definitely have a current system, but it does evolve. And like recently, we just added in because it's almost spring here and we're gonna have more like farm chores and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. We're trying this thing called Project Manager this year, where we're assigning the kids to oversee an element of the farm, which you
Mm-hmm.
could also do, it's very transferable to like indoor too.
Mm-hmm.
And that they're not for doing all the work, but for seeing the work and seeing what needs to be done and then reporting to the family when we have a family meeting. And then I will then assign things throughout the week. So it's just started. I'll have to report back how that's going. But it was so when we were talking about work, Darren and I, the one of our friends, a pastor at our church, asked Darren because Darren works really, really hard, and I know like you work really, really hard, Ashley. And what mom doesn't work hard,
Yeah.
right? There is things to be done always.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked Darren, "Do you have like daily downtime? Like, do your kids see you like pursuing passions or reading a book or just not working?" And we've been talking about that. Like, is that a needed element in the day? Like, is that something we should be striving for as adults? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
What are we viewing? Are we viewing work in the realm of, excuse me, this is a 9 to 5, I'm getting paid for this, this is work?
Mm-hmm.
Or do we view as this is a calling, right? I am called to be a mom, I'm called to be a dad. And so when I turn off my computer because he works from home from 9 to 5 and then go and work by playing football or being out on the farm with the kids or something like that, is that work or is that downtime? And where does leisure and hobbies and those kind of things play? And then looking at the biblical account, thinking about like Adam and Eve and how work wasn't or was there before the fall, before
Mm-hmm.
sin. And gardening is not I'm going to spend 10 minutes and then I'm done. It's an all day process. Granted, we have weeds we have to deal with, and I don't think they had weeds back then.
No, the black.
No, yeah, we know like an overabundance or processing or harvesting, even without weeds, takes quite some time. So, anyways, it's been something we've been pondering, and the idea of work and the idea of downtime. Do we need downtime? So,
Mm-hmm.
anywho, it's so funny though that this conversation happened week because I am almost to 6 weeks postpartum. So I'm finally getting to it. Sorry, Ashley. But we have welcomed our eighth child, our eighth baby to our family a sweet baby girl, and we named her Naomi, and we're just in love. We're so excited she's here. It has been a different birth and postpartum season than my last two. That different in a positive way. And so that's been lovely. And but I don't know, like it's it's so funny. This is my eighth. Can't even remember. Like there is something about like just the newborn postpartum your memory that's real. It's real. And so I can't remember with my other seven this feeling, but I'm almost to 6 weeks and I'm like, we need to get going. I need to get going on life. I'm like actually moving more around the house and getting projects and seeing things that need to get done. Like you
Mhm.
said, that like dirty floor, like I see it all. And before I saw it, but I just had blinders
Mhm.
because I wasn't gonna go do it, 9 months pregnant. So, yeah, that has been our addition to our family, and it's been lovely. Um, my sixth baby and my seventh baby were both traumatic, rushed C-sections. And with baby number seven, my uterus ruptured, if you remember or don't remember, listener. And so I can never have an unplanned C-section now if I ever get pregnant. So this baby was planned C-section, my very first planned one. And I have a lot of processing to do, Ashley. I think that like I'm so grateful for modern medicine and when it comes to things like crazy things like this. But it definitely and this is not to put anyone down who's had one because clearly I've had three C-sections now. It's definitely not the same as a vaginal birth, and it can feel unnatural,
Mhm.
it can feel confusing as trying to process like your baby's being like taken out of you.
Mhm.
But I am grateful for it, because my three youngers wouldn't be here without them potentially. But it is kind of weird. I don't know. You never had a C-section, right, Ashley? You had
No.
all vaginal births?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah, that would be different to process, like you're saying, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, not that different.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to think through right now, I guess. Like I remember when they told me I could never have a vaginal birth again after my last, I had like grieved that almost. I grieved that it would have to be a C-section. But it's like this grief and joy that there was an option. There was an
Mhm.
option for a C-section, but it was, I don't know, like you had to process through it. And maybe I'm just weird, which we all know is true. So maybe not everybody experiences these feelings like
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't
No,
know, but
I think it's
so
healthy to do that. Like, healthy to, process through it.
yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
I
tell me
think so.
more about, like, through that process, through being at 6 weeks, like, what do you feel like, and this could go with what you're learning processing, what you're learning, as you're at that 6-week mark, trying to, like, okay, what does work look like? I don't know. What all is the Lord teaching you right now? I guess is kind of my question through all these things.
Good. I think that there are seasons of change. Obviously, there are seasons in nature that the Lord has orchestrated, and then there's seasons within our lives, other seasons within motherhood. And I do believe that it is good to have a season of rest, especially like I was trying my very best during the postpartum season to really rest and recover and rejuvenate so that I didn't like injure myself or set myself back like more, right? More setback than I already was. And there's also Adelaide struggled a little bit with weight
Mhm.
in the beginning. So I needed to like focus on really resting with her on my chest, to give her opportunity to help stimulate milk and for her to gain weight. So there is good. There is good that comes with rest. The Lord has orchestrated, like 7 days, and I do believe we should have a rest day on the Sabbath, to be focused on family and to focus on the Lord and preparing for the next week of work ahead. But I'm not so legalistic to say that you can't do any work, because I don't believe that work is inherently bad. I just think it can be distracting when you are having that Sabbath day, when you are viewing work as only like your 9 to 5 job. But if you view work as an opportunity to disciple or an opportunity to enjoy, like, okay, I'm sorry, I'm going a little sidetracked here, but like, why do we call exercise working out? Like, it is a work that you are doing to your body and you're building muscle. And I don't think anyone would say that working out is a job, like a profession. Well, maybe somebody works out for a profession. I probably should figure that out and be that person one day. It's- I think that we just, I don't know, we look at work through the eyes of society instead of through the eyes of a biblical perspective. And so, okay, that was a side tangent. What I, though, am excited about for 6 weeks and the idea of work is focusing my attention on the things that I did not focus on during my rest and recovery. During my rest and recovery, I focused on like reading books with kids and checking in the heart condition of everyone, making sure the baby is being well fed. So I was still working. It just looked a lot different. And then now I get to work and like move and feel like I'm accomplishing other things than relational.
Mhm.
Does this make sense?
Yes. Yes. You make perfect sense. And I love that you are talking about like you rest for a purpose, right? And rest does not, as you're saying, rest doesn't mean like the absence of productivity, right? So you can be productive, like you're saying, still spending time with your family and checking on the heart conditions of your kids. Just because you're not mopping the floor does not mean that you're not being productive, but it is restful. There's a definition, and this is actually the definition in the health textbook that I use for my 9th and 10th health class that I teach. And I've heard other people use this definition before. I've heard Joel Salatin use this definition, who obviously he's a hard worker. But it's that rest is actually just like going to a new activity, changing up what you're doing. And I like that. And I don't think that that means that that means that you're running from outside where you're planting seeds or washing the car, and then you're inside mopping, and then to rest, you start doing the dishes. But it's like, no, you're finding something else to do. And that can actually be really restful. So a lot of times, like, Sabbath rest for me is still very productive. It's just, I'm not working on school and I'm not like actively doing a bunch of cleaning around the house. Well, I'm trying not to work on school or actively do cleaning around the house. But like you said, can't be legalistic about it, because if something has to be done before the week, then it has to be done. So, yeah, so I think it's so good to think about work and rest. And obviously we're called to work, but we also know that we can become weary, and we're told do not grow weary. Um, doing the good works that the Lord has given us to do. And in time, we will see the harvest from those. So, um, yeah, I know we've talked about work a lot on this podcast, but it is interesting to hear about in different seasons, like postpartum, sort of what that looks like. So, yeah.
Well, and then like the question from the pastor to Darren when we've been talking about it, like, it is good to have hobbies and interests and let the Lord, work on your heart for you to do all things for the glory of God. But we've like in our family feel like we've adjusted our hobbies and our interests to include the whole family. So
Mhm.
it's not just a one person going out to do their own thing, but things that you like bring a son with you or we all go together.
Mhm.
So I think that that is interesting too. And those could be viewed as work, in like you said, or rest. It could be in either of those categories, but just linking arms with the other people in the family and doing it together, which I feel even more in this postpartum season because like if we wanted to go do something fun or want to try something new, it is extra work on the mom to leave all of the kids home and then dad to go do something. So he's like, well, no, I'll just bring, half the kids with me. I'll bring 4 kids. And that's been really insightful that you can still enjoy that rest, different thing, but also bring your family along with you.
Mhm. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, we do the same thing. Like, if a rest activity on a Sunday is very often like a family board game because, yeah, you do want the whole family to be involved in rest. Hey guys, so before we close out today, I wanted to take a few minutes to share something that's been on my heart, especially unfortunately, since our podcast this week didn't fully record. We had some technical issues, but we were talking about work and also about rest and the dichotomy of both of them and the conjunction and how they both function together. They're not in opposition, but actually designed by God to be hand in hand. I think that our culture today, work when they think about work, they view it as something negative, right? Something that we have to do, or actually something to be avoided, escaped, or minimized. But when we look at scripture, as we talked about in the podcast, we see something completely different. Work was part of God's design before the fall, right? So, like in Genesis, God placed Adam in the garden to work it and to keep it. And that means that work itself is actually not a result of sin. It is part of the goodness of creation. Now, we also see and can experience in our own lives that sin made work harder, right? More toilsome, definitely more frustrating at times, but work itself is still good. Work engages our body, it sharpens our mind, it gives us purpose in our days. And I think so often, especially in our homes and our homemaking, we can begin to see work as small or repetitive, right? Or even burdensome. I know we used the word mundane earlier in our podcast. And I think that's very representative. But what if we began to see it differently? What if we had a mind shift change when it came to work? What if we saw the daily work of caring for our home, raising our children, preparing meals, tending to what God has given us? What if we started to view that as meaningful and purposeful and even worshipful? I know in our family, we use the verse Colossians 3:23 a lot to remind us that whatever we do, we should work heartily as for the Lord and not for men. That honestly changes everything. It changes everything. It means the dishes, the training, the tending to all of the needs. It makes it all matter, right? Eternally matter. It also means that as we bring our children alongside us in that work, we are not just giving them chores to do. We are actually giving them a vision for the why we do what we do. We are showing them that work is not something to avoid, but it is something rather to embrace. And that's normal and it's good. It's good to work. It's part of how we live and how we serve and how we build a life together. When our children work alongside us, they're learning more than just skills.
They're learning diligence and responsibility. They're learning faithfulness. So, so good. And they're learning what it looks like to contribute to a family and not just to consume, right? But to take part in something bigger than themselves. And at the same time, we also see in scripture the gift of rest, like we talked about today. God himself rested, not because he was weary, note, but he really set a pattern for us, set an example for us in his rest. And there are seasons of work, hard work, and there are seasons of rest, sometimes extended rest, like we talked about postpartum today. There are rhythms in our days and in our lives where we labor and then we pause, we rest, right? There is a rhythm of both work and rest, and both are really, really good. Both are gifts to us. Rest is not laziness, and work is not punishment. Both are gifts when they are held in their proper place. And I think what we're really aiming for in our homes is not a life of constant striving and not a life of constant ease, but a life of faithful rhythm, working with our hands, serving our families, and building something meaningful. And also knowing when to pause, right? And to gather and to enjoy and to give thanks, like in family worship. So, if you're in a season where work feels really heavy or feels unseen, we want you to be encouraged that the work that you are doing truly matters, eternally matters. And it is shaping your home and it's shaping your children. So, just remember everything that you are doing we should do unto the glory of God. It is honoring to the Lord when it is done in a faithful heart. So guys, thanks so much for being here with us today. We loved being able to get back and chat together and give you guys kind of an update. And we're really looking forward to being back with you next time here on Joyful Homemaking.